kind of going back to human operating system, we were wired to take the path of least resistance. And there are times where that's not necessarily a bad thing or detrimental. If you can just keep that truth top of mind and just be vigilant of yourself and identify like those times where I am taking the easy route. Am I being lazy here? Am I being soft? Am I taking the path of least resistance, or am I choosing growth and development? There's something called the AMCC, the grit center of the brain. It strengthens and develops the more we choose to do these seemingly difficult or undesirable tasks. It's literally like which one you feed, right? If you avoid those things, then that portion of the brain doesn't develop. If you choose those things, that portion develops.
And we are live. Ryan, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, Robert. It's good to see you, man.
You're looking lean, man. You're looking super lean. You like dieting down for something right now?
I'm not. I just like to walk around in shape. You look lean too, man. I saw you sit down with veins popping out.
I have been doing a lot more running lately. I did like a 50-mile march for veterans last weekend, so I've been like getting a lot of steps in.
Okay.
And trying to maintain a leaner physique year round as well.
I got you. That's probably what it is for me. We're getting less than a month out from hunting season, so my aerobic work is ramping up.
Yeah, I've been doing these trail runs because I prefer trail runs over, the pavement. And I'm like, man, this is like the perfect combination for getting ready for hunting season. I got my trail runs, working on agility. I got the lifting. I'm dialed in with my nutrition. It's like, I'll be ready to rock come hunting season.
That's right, man. You got anything planned?
I don't know. I normally do an elk hunt in Colorado every year. I got a big one last year, but then we just had another baby. So depending on how much flexibility I have with getting out of state and going on an extended hunting trip, that'll kind of dictate where and when I go.
Well, congrats on the additional child, man. That's awesome.
Appreciate it, man. What about you? You got any big hunts lined up?
Yeah, I can't wait, man. So I'm going to Oregon twice this year, actually. Never been, but I got a buddy that I hunt with who grew up in Oregon, and he and his family know one unit really well. So I actually have an archery tag in that unit. And then he got super lucky and drew a rifle tag in one of Oregon's best units. It's like a once in a lifetime unit, usually takes 25, 30 points to draw. And so we're going to go back in late October, early November, and see if we can't get him just a monster with a rifle. So,
and y'all going for elk or for?
Yeah, those are both elk. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the elk hunting's a whole nother beast, man. Like I've gone 2 or 3 years now, and last year I got a big boy, and it was like, kick my butt, man. Like I can't imagine people that don't lift on a regular basis backpacking that out of there. It's like, what are they going to do? They can't do this.
Man, I went for my first one in 2019, and I completely underestimated the physicality that it would require. And I was in Montana and in some really steep country. And at that point, when it came to the gym stuff, I was the guy that said anything over 8 reps is cardio. And that mindset cost me dearly. And so I have changed the way I train ever since then, and train for the mountains. And you're right. If you don't live there, you don't work in that and do that kind of thing, you certainly have to train in a very particular way to be ready for those demands.
It definitely makes, people call hunting a sport, and it is, but like I grew up in Arkansas, man. So like hunting for Arkansans is a matter of like sticking a deer stand out like the weekend before opening day, clearing the brush with some limb loppers, walking out there after breakfast, bacon and eggs and coffee, sitting on there for 12 hours. And then that's it. And then when you get something, you drive a side-by-side up to it, you throw it in the back of the side-by-side, and you go back to camp. It's like not a sport necessarily.
No. And man, I'm from Virginia, and it was the exact same thing growing up. And that's why I underestimated, that first trip out to Montana. It's also why I've fallen in love with it. It's not to say that the way we hunt at home isn't fun, but it's not a physical and mental challenge the way hunting out west is. And that's what really draws me to that as an activity and a hobby.
100%, man. Are you like backcountry in it, like going out there, packing in, setting up a tent? Like, how you doing it?
Yeah, we normally do some kind of a mix. It'll depend on like the particular unit. So for the archery hunt, it's not as steep a terrain, that particular unit. And my buddy's family always has kind of a campsite. So they'll have like a big base camp kind of setup. And, we may have a little bit bigger setup there at base camp. And then, we'll have like stuff to spike out and camp deep if we need to go deep to find the animals. For the second one, for his rifle hunt, we are expecting to be full backcountry, live out of a backpack, all that kind of stuff. Like, on those, um, like your housing and your water are the big differences, right? And so that's the one where like you've got to find water and filter water and do all that. And for the archery hunt, we'll have giant 5-gallon tanks of water in the back of the truck and that kind of thing. So
Just so many different ways to do it, man. They've all kind of got their own pros and cons. Like when I went to Washington for Muleys one year, and I was backcountry doing it with my brother-in-law, and we went way up there, and there was no water. We packed in some water, but like we didn't pack in near enough. It was hotter than we had anticipated, so like we were dehydrated. We were going through it, and we're just like, we drained our water on the first day. We're like, okay, we got a week left. What are we gonna do? And we were scouting around. We found this like scum covered green like water puddle that a coyote was taking a shit in, and we're like, all right, this is where we're hunkering down. So we had like little water bottles with the filtration system in there, and we were just sucking down that green sludge all week.
oh man, that's where you're like, I hope the claims on these things are legit.
Yeah, but it was cool, man. Like it was, I mean, we were underneath the stars every night. When I went to Colorado last year, like we stayed at like a VRBO. So we had to like walk in quite a ways, walk out to get to the truck or the trailhead and get back there. But it was nice because we had a full size kitchen, laundry, and a gym. So I was still working out every day, which was nice. But I like the backcountry where you're just like out there in the elements the whole time.
I love that, man. You unplug. I mean, cell phones don't work. You've got to like, I have a little Garmin inReach that, I can send text to my wife, proof of life check. We're okay. You're not checking email. You're not worried about social media, like all the stuff that kind of piles up in the background on a daily basis. Like it's such a reset. And, I love getting that break from it or detox, whatever you want to call it. And then you come back and you have this whole new appreciation for running water and air conditioning or heat and refrigeration, like all the things that people, myself included, take for granted on a daily basis. And man, my buddy and I were talking about it 2 years ago that we feel like everybody should spend at least 1 or 2 weeks a year in the wilderness and just the connection to nature, the appreciation for what we have. It's powerful.
100%, man. I've got it on my list to go to Alaska sometime and do this because I feel like when you're taking a plane in, like puddle jumper plane, and you get like so far off the grid and the plane's not coming back for 3 weeks, it's like, all right, we literally have nothing but our own two hands to make this work.
Yep. I love that feeling, man. If you're looking for a buddy for Alaska, let me know.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. I mean, when I think of my list of people, you are certainly in that list of who I'd be willing to go to Alaska with. So we'll make that happen.
I got a question for you. When you go on those hunts for the guy for whom keto bricks are infinitely available, how many of those are you eating a day?
I typically eat 1 or 2 a day. Like if I'm going in and I'm staying out there, I'll just have a big pack full of keto bricks and then a variety of either like carnivore bars, carnivore snacks, or like the Man Bar meat sticks. Like those are my go-to. I'll have like some canned tuna, something like that. But I'm pretty much just living off of that while I'm out there. And then if I get something on the ground, I'm obviously eating back straps. But yeah, man, those, I mean, honestly, from like a backcountry hunting standpoint, like keto is a cheat code in my mind because you're able to eat once or twice. You're able to have much more sustained energy. You're able to like be more mentally alert and conscious of your environment. Like people that are stopping every 2 or 3 hours, going up a mountain to like eat a, snack bar or some rehydrated carbohydrate rice meal. It's like, man, that's just hindering your hunt right there.
Man, you couldn't be more correct. I mean, I agree with that. And there's so many reasons that keto is a cheat code. I mean, oxygen utilization, especially if you're at altitude. You touched on a lot of the key ones. Just when you talk about like filling out your backpack, I mean, even people that don't hunt, backpackers are super fanatical about every ounce that they have to carry, right? And so when you just do the math, gram for gram, a gram of carbs has 4 calories, a gram of fat has 9 calories. So it's 2.25 amount of calories gram for gram. So you're literally, if you pack 10 pounds of potatoes or 10 pounds of keto bricks, one, the bricks take up less space, and two, you don't have to cook them, and three, it's 2.25 times the energy. And the other thing that I think is really cool about being keto, specifically being fat adapted, is let's say you're a 200-pound dude and you're 10% body fat. You've got 20 pounds of fat on your frame that, if you have metabolic flexibility, if you're fat adapted, that is fuel that is readily available. And to your point, you don't have to stop and eat. Your body can tap into that energy, and you're carrying 20 pounds of that. And if you do the math, it's 20 times 454 or grams. That converts it into grams times 9 calories. I mean, it's something like 80,000 calories that are available to you. Compare that to, like, okay, I carb loaded last night for a marathon. I topped off my glycogen stores, and at most I've got 2,000 calories, right? And you run out of that,
Yeah.
you bonk, right? And so with being fat adapted or running on keto, you're truly you have limitless energy.
Yeah, and if you look at the guys that are going out in the backcountry for weeks on end, like they're typically losing, 10, 15 pounds while they're out there. So their body's like forcing them to become fat adapted to some extent. But if they're doing that real time as they're out there, they're going to have that zombie stage where they just feel terrible. And it's like, if you're spending all this money, all these resources, all this time to go out and do an expensive hunt, like you don't want to be feeling terrible throughout the first half of it,
No, absolutely not.
So 100%, man. Are you writing any more books right now?
It's funny you asked that. I just had a conversation with a publisher yesterday. Probably a little early to let the cat out of the bag, but I've got another one that I'm working on. And, the first one was self-published, and I had a great experience doing it that way. I'm curious what the process would be like and what opportunities would be out there working with a publisher. So I'm going through that process now to figure out what the best path forward is going to be. But the second book is outlined, and depending on self-publish or work with a publisher, it'll probably be out in 6 months to year and a half.
Nice, man. When did Fuck Your Feelings come out?
Man, it's weird to say this, but it was 2018. It's been 7 years.
That's wild, dude. What's that journey been like? So from the time you published it, like how did it do what you expected it to do? Like what's the feedback been thus far?
And I'm really fortunate. It's done very well. And, I think you and I are kind of cut from the same cloth. We hold ourselves to a really high standard. And when we achieve things, we don't, like, if we have I don't want to say a downside, but I think recognizing our achievements or celebrating them may be something that people have to remind us to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm talking to publishers, I'm realizing that the numbers from the first book are well above average, especially for a self-published book. I mean, my goal from the beginning was I wanted it to sell 100,000 copies, and it has. Um, Most books don't get near that. So, it's really cool to say. And, like I said, I'm really fortunate to be in a position where I've had that kind of success. I mean, people like you and a lot of our friends helped promote it, and, everybody out there that bought it and read it and talked about it. Um, but yeah, it's been a really cool process because I mean, I know ever since it came out, I've had the opportunity to speak and do workshops and work with just amazing people all around the world. From all walks of life: first responders, military, police, fire, a lot of corporate people, athletes. And I wrote it because I really enjoyed marrying sort of the theory of high performance with the application and what people in the real world are doing that we would call high performers, the Olympic athletes, special forces operators, business people. And um, it's allowed me to embed myself even deeper into those demographics and spend more time with those people. And I mean, when you get to spend time around high performers and people that are
Mm-hmm.
committed to growth and excellence and holding themselves to a standard, and I mean, I know you know this because you do it with your company. I see it. You guys talk about it in all your emails, and it's one of the reasons that people love the keto bricks as a product, but also as a brand. Um, and so, yeah, the second book will be sort of a building on that. I don't want to give too much away yet, but more of a framework for how to um, put that together into a process to win that space between your ears.
So the first book more like strategy, second book more tactic kind of deal.
Yeah, I'd say first one was more like user's manual for a human operating system, trying to help people understand like, hey, this is how you're wired. This is what's going on, with your psychology, your physiology, your biology. This one will be more of a here's exactly how you take that and the tactics to both the macro and the micro, setting up, whether it's, a year or an event or a specific at bat in a baseball game.
I feel like society is primed for that type of content. I had several people recommend I read The Comfort Crisis. Have you read that one?
Yeah. Is that one Jonathan Haidt?
No, I just finished it on Audible.
He's got another one that's similar to that. I think it's like The Coddling of the American Mind or something.
Yeah, I've had that one recommended to me. Let's see here. This one is, oh shoot, my Audible just moved it. Comfort Crisis. Michael Easter
Okay.
is his name.
Yeah. It's a red
Um,
cover. Yeah.
And it's interesting because it's like I listened to it before I read it. I had somebody recommend it to me, and then one of the guys that was reading it that recommended it, he's like, honestly, I don't really recommend it because you already know and are doing all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll just go ahead and listen to it from a perspective standpoint. And I'm listening to it; it's all good, but again, it's all the same stuff that you and I are doing on a daily basis, anyways. But I feel like society at large is like recognizing there's a hole, and they're trying to find content or application or tools to fill it. And that type of content is hot right now. So I got no doubt that your next book will be coming at the perfectly planned time for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun process.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, man, like I talk about this, you talk about this, and it's weird because we live in the era of social media, the internet. People have, information at their fingertips at all times. And it's like, we all know that we're living in a soft time, and if we don't create some self-imposed hardship in some form or another, we just become softer. Mm-hmm. And I always like talking to people that tease that out. Like, how do we, throw things in? You're doing stuff like the cold plunge. What are some just low-hanging fruits that you do on a regular basis that are non-negotiables for you?
It's a great question, man. I would just, I think the way you phrased it is so well worded, and I think it's really if you can just keep that truth top of mind and just be vigilant of yourself, speaking to the listener, not you, Robert, but it works for you and identify like those times where I am taking the easy route, or am I being lazy here? Am I being soft? And I think there's a couple of things that really have to be discussed. And so again, kind of going back to human operating system, we're wired to take the path of least resistance. And there are times where that's not necessarily a bad thing or detrimental. But I'll give you another example. So Mark Cuban had a really awesome uh, lesson that he shared one time where he invested in TV. It's been a few years now, but somebody challenged him. They're like, why? This is a dying thing. He said, no, it's not going anywhere because it's literally the path of least resistance. And you can stress test this. Go sit on the couch and stare at the wall versus sit on the couch and turn on the TV. It's way easier to turn on the TV and get lost in what's ever on TV and it's much harder to just sit on the couch and not pick up your phone, not pick up a book, not turn on the TV. Can you just sit there and be? And that's really challenging. And so that in and of itself is an opportunity to, if you want to say be less soft. And the way you phrase that is like a personal preference in language, right? And I think people like you and I resonate with, we were coached hard when we were young guys, right? And so we resonate well with somebody that, is posing questions like that. Like, Are you being soft? Do you want to be more of an asset? Do you want to be less of a liability? Like, stop being a fill in the blank, right? Um, Whereas, other people may respond better to language of saying, like, am I taking the path of least resistance, or am I choosing growth and development? Um, but just having that awareness, I mean, park in the back of the grocery store parking lot, or I think I'm sure you've been to enough fitness expos. You've seen the memes from the Arnold where there's a line to get on the escalator
Mm-hmm.
and nobody's taking the stairs, right? Or, when you're going through the airport, take the stairs instead of the escalator, and just look at the number of people. It's like 98, 99% of people are on the escalator. And, just those little things, they seem stupid and meaningless, but they're just opportunities to not take the path of least resistance and to actually, so this is cool from a scientific standpoint. There's something called the AMCC, the anterior mid cingulate cortex. It's a portion of the brain that is actually now being called the grit center of the brain. And interestingly, it strengthens and develops the more we choose to do these seemingly um, difficult or undesirable tasks. And so it's literally like which one you feed, right? If you avoid those things, then that portion of the brain doesn't develop. If you choose those things, that portion develops and it becomes easier, and you lower the barrier to choosing the uncomfortable things.
Mm-hmm. I think for people like you and I, that kind of like just becomes the default that we gravitate to, which I think is good. And there's times where like I'll come home from, being up at 3 and doing all my stuff throughout the day and just want to like chill and relax with my family for a second. But then like my wife, she's juggling 2 kids. I'm like, man, what can I do to be a better husband? Let me go do the dishes, do the laundry. Like, let me do that stuff. That's kind of like my version of that in like my setting.
Yep.
But I feel like for people like you and I, we need to have a whole conversation around how do you justify relaxing and what does that look like in a healthy manner? Because given the option, I'm just like, screw it, let's freaking suffer.
And I mean, you're touching on a couple of things that are just absolutely critical. And like, kind of gave me goosebumps because as you were talking through like your scenario and you're saying, like, I'm laying down and my wife's juggling 2 kids, like questions, like I ask myself questions, and you do too, obviously, because you just gave one, right? And the question I'd say is like, is this the husband that I want to be? Or how can I be a better husband? Is this how I want to show up for my wife? And I love these questions because when you answer that question with your values, the the action that you need to take could not be more clear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a lot of people go through life and like, I don't know what to do. Well, when you ask questions like this, it becomes very obvious what the right choice is. And then fuck your feelings, align your choices with your values and your goals. And like that was a perfect example of, okay, well, I might be tired, but so is my wife, and she's got 2 kids and doing all this stuff. Like, let me go unload the dishwasher or water the plants or whatever the things are, right? And um, because if you don't do it, then she has to. And now, I'm a dick because I didn't do it. And like, that's not the kind of husband I want to be. And obviously you're not either. And so I think those, I just want to touch on the importance of those questions. But you're right. And I was actually going to ask you the same question. My wife and I joke, we say that we don't do nothing well. Like we could book a vacation to a, all-inclusive resort, and, an hour into laying on the beach, we're looking at each other like, all right, we're going to go surfing. We're going to go paddleboarding. Like, what are we going to do? Like, I have to be doing something, and
Mm-hmm.
he's the same way. And it's a struggle. We were really fortunate. We bought a new house earlier this year, and it had a pool. And, so now we've got a saltwater pool, and like we force ourselves on the weekend through the summer to, spend a couple hours on a Saturday or a Sunday, just like we call it vacation mode, and can we just forget for a minute that we're at home? When you're at home, there's always shit around the house that has to be done. And so, can you trick yourself into thinking like, hey, I'm at some resort. I'm just going to lay on this float in the pool and enjoy the sun and be outside and, not think about all the things that have to be done. Um, it's I think if we this is where I think fitness really helps too, because you can't train 7 days a week. You know that the in the gym time, you're actually breaking down muscle tissue. You're stressing the system, and only with proper recovery do we super compensate and return above baseline and actually grow and build back to the point where we can better handle that stressor the next time our body sees it, right? That's literally the progress or the building portion of bodybuilding, right? And if we know that, then we have to also understand that that is true of life, and all the stressors and managing our energy and time, and you know this is what I work on with the CEOs and executives that I coach and work with. It's a very common problem, and when we can learn how to manage our energy, uh, our bandwidth, our capacity, the same way that we know how to manage like our cell phone's battery life.
Hmm.
Now we're getting somewhere, right? And so, it's looking for those little moments. Same way you would find a time to plug in your phone so it makes it through the day. Can you do that for yourself? Can you use breath work, or can you go for a walk? Any of those parasympathetic wedges that help break up the day, recharge your battery. You can't pour from an empty cup, can't give what you don't have. So, the more people rely on you, the more you have a responsibility to take care of yourself so that you can show up for them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. I'm in like this interesting chapter right now because I mean the business has been around for 8 years, and I feel like up to this point I've just been redlining. Like sleep has definitely taken the back seat, and before we had kids, it was my wife and I, girlfriend, before we got married, and it's like we just we just went, man. They would just go, 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 and that was just all she wrote. And I could justify it because it was just like she was her own self-sufficient, independent person. I'm my own. Having kids created this new dynamic because it's like they rely on us 100%, and I don't want to miss out on memories and moments with them, especially when they're so young. And it's like they don't care about any of this stuff. Like they care about playing in the sandbox for 30 minutes after I get home. Like they're not bothered by the things that weigh heavily on me. So lately I've been trying to figure out how to, be present with them. I'm pretty good about that. Like I come home late, but when I come home, like I don't typically work. I just am present with him. And like I'll read him books, and he'll want to like watch a show or something. So we'll do that. And before, like I don't even own a TV, man. Like I've never owned a TV. I don't watch shows. I don't watch movies. But with him, like that's like an opportunity where he stays still long enough to actually snuggle with me on the couch and sit, like watch something like an old John Wayne movie or something. And I've enjoyed those moments. And that's like the closest I've come to being able to just relax for a moment. But normally I'm redlining it. But I feel like with the business and just where I'm at in life right now, by going nonstop, kind of using your example of like training 7 days a week, it's like there are chapters where that becomes, necessary. But then, like, in order to get to the next level, you have to fully recharge to allow creativity room to come in.
Mhm.
And if you're going 7 days a week, there's no room for creativity that allows you to get to the next level. So, like, I feel like I'm at a place
Yep.
where I've got to embrace stepping away from the day to day grind, which is hard for me because I feel guilty if I'm not right there with my crew doing what they're doing.
Mhm.
But that allows me the opportunity to have the creative thoughts that allow us to all rise to the next level. So like I'm on the precipice of that, but I haven't quite nailed it yet.
That's a huge challenge, man. I mean, for every founder that I've ever known or worked with who, you're founder or co-founder, and now you find yourself in CEO role. And in order to continue to do your highest value activities, you have to let go of a lot of the implementation activities. And, that's a challenge for everybody in your position, and going through the transition that you are. And, like you said, you have to keep in mind that nobody else is looking at the horizon for the business, those strategic high level decisions and guidance. If that doesn't come from you, it's not coming from anybody. So, somebody's got to be at the helm, captaining the ship. And, again, you're already aware of this. Like, you need the time and space to have the strategic thinking time, and that opportunity. And it's definitely easier said than done. But this goes back to what I said a minute ago about managing time. It's being in charge of your calendar and schedule, and letting your values dictate your calendar rather than your calendar dictate your values.
Yeah, because you vote with your time. Like if you take inventory of where your time goes, like I say, I want to be the best father and husband I can be, and that's one of the primary goals and objectives of my life. But then if I look at how my time's spent throughout the day, like they get very little of it, and that's humbling. And I know I need to fix that, but yeah, I got to get on that, man.
Yeah,
I got to get on.
I have no doubt that you will.
Yeah, it's hard too though, because like I love working on the things that I'm working on. Like if you're passionate about the work that you're doing, like so I have a very hard time relating with people that work a 9 to 5. They hit the time clock at the end of the day, and they can be 100% there with their family. They oftentimes aren't because they're chilling watching Netflix or something. But it's like when you're super ingrained in every minute detail of the thing you're building, like it doesn't ever stop. Like I come home and I may not be on my computer working, but I mean I'm thinking about spreadsheets, accounting, invoices due, potential business investments, like while I'm playing in the sandbox or shooting my bow with my little kid.
Yep. I'm right there with you, man. It never turns off. And it's, thinking about whether it's a book or it's a project, with a consulting group or an upcoming talk or, you know, yeah, potential business ideas or whatever it is. I mean, it's always there. And a lot of times for me, when those ideas pop in, I mean, I'm an Apple guy, so I love Notes, the Notes app on my phone, and I can just either if I'm driving, I'll voice dictate it or I'll type it in if I'm not driving, and then that note is it automatically syncs on my laptop, and it's always with me, and then I can go in later when I have time and expand on it. Or like I literally have a note called add this to the book, and so as those ideas come in, add them to the note. Next time I sit down to write, it's like, okay, here's that prompt, stick this in, and now we expand on it. And it's that also ties into that conversation a minute ago about turning it off and resting. Like a lot of times when you do actually turn it off and rest, that those thoughts then flood your mind. And so for me, that's where the note idea really helps, because I can write it down and then let it go, continue to rest and recover, and then when it's work time again, I have it there to pick it back up.
Yeah, I do think whether it's, physical pen and paper journaling or having a notes app, like if there's a thought that comes to my mind, I have to get it out, because I got freaking World War III going on in my brain at all times. Like it's not safe up there unless I document it somewhere,
Yep. Yep. Man, there's a question that like I'd love to get you on my podcast, and there's a question I really want to ask you, but I'm not. I'll save it for my podcast. But just from an overall, like a general perspective, what has the 8 years of building Keto Bricks taught you about people and business?
Man, one of the things I'm most proud, it's funny you asked this because I've had several like high profile clients, like coaching clients lately. I've been in contact with several, successful CEOs, entrepreneurs that are bringing in way more top line revenue than I've ever touched. And I'll look at them and I'll hear their stories. I'll hear what their frustration and pain points are. And not to take anything away from them. I mean, they're so totally successful in that regard for sure. But it's like they're not at peace. They're not necessarily happy. They're not settled. So like when I see that unfold, it's like, okay, obviously simply having more money isn't the solution. So that's really forced me to look inwardly at my whole situation and operation. And I'm busier than I've ever been. I've got my multiple irons in the fire right now, but I've got this deep sense of peace as of late that's just kind of flourished because, we've never had like this hockey stick viral moment. We're still always kind of, scrambling, moving money around, trying to make things work and be efficient. So like I haven't got it figured out in that regard. But when I like step back and look at what we've built, the journey that's unfolded over the years, it's like, man, I don't have to look over my shoulder at night. Everything we've built has been built on integrity, hard work, honesty. And it's like, at the end of the day, I've got the best crew I've ever had. I've got a roof over my heads. I got meat in the freezer. I got an awesome wife and two beautiful sons, and my health. Like, I'm winning at life. Like, when I look at what actually matters, like, I'm at peace in that regard, and I'm not satisfied, but I've found this sense of contentment and peace. I mean, if I was to die tomorrow, man, like if I was to drop dead right now and I'm sitting there on my deathbed, like I would be able to look at my life, and yeah, there's things that I would want to do, more of, but I can die with a smile on my face, and I feel like the business, growing that, has certainly been my battlefront that's given me purpose and hardship, all self-imposed, and I take extreme ownership towards it all. But I'm really proud of what we've built. I'm proud of where we're going, and I'm excited to keep it in house, keep doing it the right way. And if it doesn't have a viral moment, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm playing the long game. I'm doing it right. I want to build a legacy brand, and I want to always do so with the intent of helping others and just adding more value than I'm taking. And I can honestly say that I've done that thus far.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, it's been amazing to watch, and I mean, I love the transparency that you and the brand puts out. Um, as you're talking through that, and you're talking about kind of the top line revenue and you know, let me say profit. I know just from being in the supplement space and food space that I'm sure you've had people suggest decreasing the quality of ingredients to buffer profit margins. And I know that's something that's a non-negotiable, no compromise there. And again, that's one of the reasons that I and others love the brand, um, and the product. If as you do that, like, business accounting, and the cost of ingredients is a non-negotiable, how do you then like, what does the rest of that thought process look like to try to like, there's a business side of it, right? So you wanna improve margins so that you don't have to constantly chase revenue to grow, right? So, like, how do you then attempt to figure that out?
It's tough, man. I mean, it's funny you're asking these questions because I was just looking at spreadsheets and accounting books yesterday, and it's like, when I built Keto Brick, it was never even intended to be a product. It was for my personal consumption to scratch an itch that I had, and then there was enough demand from others to do the same thing. So it's okay. I know how to do this. Let me do it to the best of my ability and bring that to the world and actually create something with my own two hands. And I'm proud of that. But there's not much profit margin in the brick specifically. I mean, the cost of ingredients we use is sky high. The cost of shipping increases every 6 months from the carriers. I mean, like, my margins get thinner and thinner every time I bring some employee on and they get up to speed. I want to, pay them a livable wage and take care of them. And I wind up taking a cut oftentimes of my pay. But it's like, I'm not really building Keto Brick to become wealthy. I'm building it to create value. And with that being the foundational parameters, it's like, okay, we're never sacrificing quality of ingredients. We're always going to do right by the customer. So, like, I look at it as an opportunity to just add more than I take. And then from a sheer profitability standpoint, like, there's certainly things that I want to dial in. I want to get better at marketing. I want to get better at, sourcing more food volume. Like, if we grow, we can have greater economies of scale, and I can get a larger volume discount on some of the ingredients we get, things like that. But a lot of it's too is like, what else can I build that has better margins, like the apparel, the online course, like the content. We're hosting a bodybuilding competition this year. We're not going to make any money on that this year. We're probably going to take a pretty good loss, but the quality's there. And if the quality's there, maybe it will grow into something that is more profitable. But yeah, it's just playing the long game with it and knowing that, look, I'm proud of what I'm building, even if it's not going to be buying me a yacht anytime soon.
I can't imagine you on a yacht, maybe a fishing boat chasing some sailfish or something, but
I wouldn't mind having a good tractor and a side by side. Like, that would check a lot of my personal desire boxes. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, like, I just want to create cool experiences for people. Like, I don't need. I mean, I got a super small, humble house. Like, it's nothing fancy. I would like to have the means to build a house on land that's larger so that I could host more people and then raise all my own food to be able to feed my family, friends, and employees. But like everything that I want personally, I want so that I can give it away, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. That's awesome, man. Would you stay in Arkansas?
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas is home, man. I mean, I can see like I love other. I mean, I've traveled so much. Like I love Montana. I love all kinds of parts and pockets of the world. I could see myself, spending a lot of time elsewhere. I do a lot of traveling for competitions and conferences. I would love to get a travel trailer and then just like take my family with me to all these events. And we're gonna probably homeschool for the first several years of their lives anyway. So like being able to expose them to, new places, new people, new experiences, I think that would be totally worth it.
You talk about traveling to a bunch of conferences. Is there one conference that you look forward to the most every year?
They're all kind of different, man. Like a lot of them that were early on in the keto community were like so small and they've grown, like Hack Your Health, which was KetoCon, like it's grown significantly and there's a great opportunity there to meet a lot of people and network and interact. And I love it for that. And there's like super small conferences that are much more intimate, which I also appreciate. We actually started doing retreats this year that I've been hosting, like on a quarterly basis, more or less. And we're just like capping it at 15 people. I'm booking at a big Airbnb. Everybody's staying there. We're eating good food and just like getting to know each other on a deeper level. So not nearly as grand from a number standpoint, but like super intimate. And I feel like the relationships is what it all boils down to. And I've enjoyed those for sure.
That's always been my favorite part of the conference. I could skip the expo and just go straight to the, building relationships with cool people. So I can imagine that that's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, my favorite part of the conferences, man, is like you got your, inner circle of people that are going to be there. It's like linking up with them after the conference is over to like grab dinner and chat by the fireside for 3 hours. Like that's my favorite part of the conferences anyways.
Yeah, mine too. It's like, that's why I say just skip the expo 4. We'll start that at 4 o'clock instead of 8 or 9 o'clock. And that way we can go to bed at a decent hour because I'm old and I need sleep.
How old are you now?
41.
41? Shoot, man, you're still in your prime. You're rocking it, dude. What does your day-to-day look like with everything you got going now? Are you actively writing the book as part of like a daily, structured habit?
I don't force it daily. I've got a friend and started off as a business coach and mentor, and he always uses the phrase, you can't force the birth. You can't force a baby. Like it just comes out when it's ready. And so um, I know that I'm going to get it done. So I don't feel like I have to say, write for an hour a day or write 1,000 words a day. That ends up becoming counterproductive for me. What I'll do is I'll block off chunks of time 2 or 3 times a week. And okay, so maybe it's Tuesday morning or maybe it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. And I'll have 2 to 3 hours on those mornings and just crank out what I can. Um, Generally, I'm up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I've got kind of a short morning routine. It's not one of those like 30 bullet point things of stuff that I have to do, but it's I sleep with my phone on airplane mode and it doesn't come off of airplane mode until I do red light in the morning, take a shower, do some journaling, gratitude practice, that kind of stuff. Then I'll turn my phone on, get some breakfast, have coffee, and I'm at the computer maybe an hour after I'm awake and just doing stuff on the computer. I wear so many different hats that, some days I've got a lot of coaching calls, some days it's podcasting, sometimes it's writing, sometimes it's working on a keynote, sometimes I've got one of my consulting gigs is with Mellon. So a lot of times I'm helping them with, marketing and doing some meetings with their team. Um, Yeah, it varies. I'll get a workout in there 4 or 5 days a week, depending on the time of year. Um, and that pretty much takes me till 5 or 6 each day, and then in the summer, I'm on the mower in the evening and enjoying that. That's
The moment doesn't stop this time of year, man. It's like I spend freaking 6 hours a week mowing. It's like, geez.
I know it's been, I traveled in July and everybody was like, how are you so tan? I'm like, well, 4 to 5 hours a week on a mower will do that for you.
Hmm.
But that's been cool. I mean, ever since we moved to get to take care of the land and be outside and do that has been awesome. And I'm actually looking forward to being able to hunt whitetails here on my own property this year for the first time ever.
How much land are you on?
We have 21 acres
Nice, nice. And it's in Vermont?
in Virginia. Yep.
Virginia. Yeah, Virginia. That's cool, man. That's super exciting. Like I'm on 5 acres here, and it's like enough to keep me busy. Like we're gonna get some more chickens. We had chickens, then I got a dog, and I don't have chickens, so I'm about to get more chickens. He's trained. We can get some like pigs, some sheep, maybe a cow. I don't know, but like something like having a plot of dirt that you can call your own and like fashion as you want. I mean, I feel like there's so much to be said for that that's unspoken because so many people just live in a neighborhood setting where they've got perfectly manicured lawns or like some HOA requirements. And it's like, man, when you got your own plot of dirt and you're out there keeping it up, in addition to everything else you got going on, like you have this deeper appreciation for things. And if you're able to hunt on it, all the better.
Yeah. I mean, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. I mean, the disconnect that I don't think this exists with your audience, but general population is so disconnected from, the source of their food, right? And I mean, so many people think food just comes from a grocery store. And so, when you've got your own land and you're working it, and I mean, kind of ties in with being in the wilderness. I mean, you have an appreciation for what it takes and what is required to have things and keep them nice. And there's just a connection to the natural world that I think for people like us that once we experience that, it's really hard to to go away from it and to not want to keep that. And yeah, like I said, I'm beyond excited to be able to hunt on my own land and harvest deer that's going to go in our freezer and feed our friends and family for a year. And um, we've got some nice bucks here this year too. I've got trail cameras out, and there's about 4 or 5 of them that I'm targeting. So it'll be
Nice.
fun.
That'd be good. My one of my employees has got 60 acres and he lives just down the road from my house.
Okay.
So he gave me permission to hunt his land. And so I bought a longbow, like just a, traditional longbow. And I'm going to try and kill one with a longbow this year. I was shooting my compound the other day and it's like, man, I love the technology that is now there in archery, which is super cool. It's super impressive. But it's like, I had my old recurve and I shot that the other day. And then I was playing pool with my dad a couple weekends back. And I'm like, this is what I need. This is pure instinct. There's no aiming. There's no like calibration. There's no thought. It's just feel and flow. And it's like, man, everything I do throughout the day is so meticulous and detail oriented. Like just being able to sling an arrow through instinct of shooting, like that's therapy for me. So I'm going to try and hunt with a traditional longbow this year.
I'll bet, man. It brings up a good question. So with all the routine and regimented nature of your life, I'm sure there are times where you feel like you just want to explode or, burn it all down or, break free of that. Like, how do you experience that? And if so, how do you deal with it?
I don't ever feel like I want to burn it all down necessarily, but I feel it's weird, man. Like whenever I allow myself to try and relax, first I have a hard time relaxing, but when I'm in an environment where I can't work, it's almost like my body shuts down and I'm just like obnoxiously tired because it's like I'm wired at all the times. And if I can't work, it's like my body just shuts down. So I'm super sleepy and groggy and it's always short lived. But it's like my body recognizes that these don't come very often. So when it does, let's just try and recharge as efficiently as possible. But I don't necessarily like that. I feel like if I relaxed more frequently, I wouldn't feel so exhausted when I do relax. So I think that would be something I need to work on. But how I keep it all in the air, I mean, like I've really leaned on my crew. Like I said, I've got the best crew that I've ever had right now, and I've got people that are go getters. They understand the mission, the values, the goal, and I can lean on them for a lot of things and just delegate and outsource. And that's been huge, man. Because if I didn't have them right now with all the stuff that I've got going on, I would probably be dead.
How big is your team now?
So there's 8 on staff like here. And then I've got a few agencies that I work with as well remotely. But 8 in person.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm blessed.
Yeah. Any new flavors that you can hint?
We do have a new flavor. We're going to be launching, since we get into the hunting season. That means we get into the seasonal season. So we got some seasonal favorites that we'll be rolling out next year, or not next year, but next month. This will go live next month, so they'll be coming out soon. And then we've got one brand new flavor, because we've been doing a lot of tallow flavors lately too. Have you liked the tallow flavors?
Man, that's actually the question I want to ask you on my podcast. So maybe I'll ask you now. But I absolutely love those. I've been a fan from the beginning, and I like the original. I do actually prefer the tallow to the cacao butter. One, the consistency, like the softness, I guess you would say. But two, cacao butter always is like, maybe it's too rich for me. I don't know. But like, even like prior to Brix, if I was just eating cacao butter like way back in the day, just as a standalone food, I can only eat so much of it before it starts to taste just too rich, right?
Oh. It's kind of like dark chocolate. People typically don't gravitate to 100% dark chocolate because it is so rich. They'll get like the watered down diluted milk chocolate.
And so that's the weird thing, is like I can house 100% dark chocolate all day, but I don't know.
Yeah, I like my dark chocolate. And the cacao butter, like both tallow and cacao butter, have all kinds of unique attributes. I mean, they're both very high in stearic acid. The tallow is definitely tricky during the summertime because it melts so much easier. So we've kind of redesigned some of our packaging that's much thicker and seals better to hedge against any leaking concerns. But yeah, man, the tallow and the cacao butter situation has been an interesting one, but we've gotten great feedback on it, so we're just going to keep rocking both.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you, and we'll talk about it when you're on my podcast as well. But I saw that whole thing unfold. You were upfront about it in the emails. As somebody who was buying dark chocolate all the time, I saw the availability go down. I saw the prices go up. So just from a business perspective, like I really admire your ability to, handle that, like the pivot, the shift. You find an alternative ingredient, and it ends up maybe not just being an alternative, but something that adds value to the brand. It diversifies your product offering, and it ends up being a net positive, where maybe in the beginning you're just looking to not go backwards. And so I just felt like that was such a cool thing. At what point did you realize we might have something here?
Well, first of all, I appreciate it, man. That was a scary time for me because like my cacao butter pricing literally more than 6x'd, and I didn't even know if I was going to have availability despite the cost increase. That's why I went to Brazil for 10 days trying to like find it and source it and like rub shoulders with local, farmers and ranchers down there. But it's like, if we had stuck to cacao butter exclusively at the pricing that it's getting quoted then and now, like I would have been out of business. Like there's no way. And I was just honest with all of my customers. Like that's the one thing I feel like I've really just been able to appreciate is how awesome my customer base is. And I think it's largely because they trust me and I've been so just transparent since day one. So like when I tell them, hey, look, this is the reality situation. I can't make the bricks unless I increase the prices because I've got to source these ingredients and this is what they're costing now. Like people don't think that I'm trying to, rack up more profit and pull the wool over their eyes. Like it just is what it is. And, they were 100. I mean, anytime you have a product and you tell people, hey, we're gonna have to increase prices, like it's scary because you don't know how they're gonna respond. And I was like losing sleep and crunching numbers and looking at spreadsheets, but like we got zero negative feedback. Everybody was super supportive. They're like, hey, we trust you, do what you got to do. We're getting the bricks because the quality and because of your honesty. So like, we'll be here. And that gave me some peace. And then we rolled out the tallow and that, went over really well. That's still more expensive than what I was previously paying for cacao butter, but we can at least stay in business with that as well. And yeah, everybody's been loving the tallow. Some people prefer the cacao. Some people prefer the tallow. They're both high in stearic acid. We've had to like learn a lot from a production standpoint because how we make the bricks, it just behaves very differently. Like how they solidify, how they bang out of the molds, the temperatures that we have to mix and pour at, like lots of variables. But every day we learn something new and we get it dialed in all the more.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see some of the new flavors. I've got so I'm actually carnivore right now.
Nice.
I'm it's about 2 months being back on it, and I've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 or so of the carnivore bricks, either
Mhm.
either the cake pop or the primal fudge flavor. So I'll be living on those on my hunts for the fall. So I'll report back how they do in a backpack. But you know, even if,
Well, during the fall season, then you shouldn't have any issues with them melting unless you just like,
man,
put them in
e-
sunlight or something.
even if I have to just drink them straight out of there, I don't care. It's just that's what it is, right? But man, the primal fudge is like witchcraft. I don't know how you guys get it to taste like that, but it's amazing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. It goes down easy. It's pretty rich. Like, I mean, you gotta like it's pretty rich, but I do like it. And the macros are freaking on point, man. I mean, that lower carb relative to fat and protein. I mean, I eat one every single day, so I believe in it.
Yep, those things are so easy to eat a whole one. Just a couple of bites and they're gone. Um, Another one. I'm curious if you've tried this. Something else I'll be doing for. I do it for travel on carnivore, but also specifically for the hunts. We get ribeyes sliced really thin, like quarter
Mhm.
inch, and dehydrate them 10 hours at 150, and it's literally just a ribeye dehydrated. It is so good. It's better than any jerky. It's more cost effective than a lot of the, you know, uh, products that are out there. And um, man, it's just so basically like an 8 ounce dehydrated ribeye.
So one of my good friends, he's got a brand Keto Explorer. He's got a lot of not dehydrators, but the freeze dryers,
Yep.
and he'll hook me up with a bunch of freeze dried meats before I go on hunts, and I'll have that alongside the bricks and whatnot. But that's super slick because I mean it's incredibly lightweight. You can rehydrate it, reconstitute it with water if you want, but I mean I just eat it dry,
Mhm.
and it retains all that nutritional profile. So yeah, I mean that. I mean we're eating the same thing when we're out in the woods for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to do a trip together just to share snack bags.
We need to, man. We need to. I got my family farm down in South Arkansas, so it's kind of like the whole deer stand situation. But man, I'd love to have you come out there. We can tear it up, grill some steaks, slay some deer, and just make some memories,
That
man.
sounds like fun. I'm in.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I've never hunted much in the Northeast, but you got some big deer up around there as well.
Uh, Not big body. Every once in a while, there's some with some nice antler growth, but I think there's a lot of pressure around here, so I don't think deer really get a chance to get old. At least not like on my property. There's some places
Yeah.
around here where it happens. This is wild. I can actually hunt deer 6 months of the year in this county that I live in because
Advantage of that, man.
Virginia has something called the NOVA, Northern Virginia um, extended season. And so basically, our season, normal season statewide, is like October to the end of December, first week of January. But the month of September gets tacked on in a couple of counties. And then from January to April gets tacked on at the end. Those are antlerless only. But we have so many deer in the northern part of the state where the population is also really high for people. They're trying to thin the herd, but I'll give the state credit. They're at least allowing the hunters the opportunity to do it rather than like the California approach where they
Hmm.
ban hunting and then bring in helicopters with automatic weapons and do cull hunts, right? And then burn the carcasses and waste the meat.
Yeah.
But I digress. Yeah, so I mean, there's tons of opportunity to harvest some does and put some meat in your freezer up here.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, like I said, I got 3 chest freezers, and everything that I eat is either food that I've raised, food that I've harvested, or food that I know the local rancher and shook his hand before I bought it from him. So I'm a big believer in knowing where your food comes from. So I'm all about it, man.
Yep. Every animal that I harvest, I'll take the heart and the liver, and I have that ground into the burger as well. So the fact
Mhm.
that you guys have that kind of built into a lot of the bricks as well, I love that. I mean, just being able to get those micro doses of the organ meats, it's just so cool.
Yeah, 100%, man. Nature's multivitamin. Let me ask you this, kind of as a deep question to round us out here. With you being the hard charger that you are, having high standards for yourself and those around you, who or what standard do you try and hold yourself to? I guess like what's your relationship with like a higher self, a higher power? Um, like who do you try to please? Is it all internal? Um, like what does that look like for you?
Yeah. I think it's a great question. I will say it's mostly intrinsic, internal. Um, and the reason that skew that way is I think anytime we give the power to something external, whether it's a father figure, a mother figure, any loved one, I mean, you're essentially saying, my valuation of myself, my validation rests in your perception or judgment. And I think that's a dangerous place to be. Um, I know that if I hold myself to my standards and my values, and again, bring that back to internal, like I'm not seeking external validation from anyone else, certainly not another human. Now, I guess the caveat or disclaimer there is I have people that I respect in my life that I love, and I certainly want all of them to respect me. And I believe that as long as my actions are aligned with my values and the way that I conduct myself will be such that they would respect me, right? Basically because I respect myself and I carry myself that way and live that way. And I think if there is a higher power or there is an ultimate judgment day, uh, I think that entity would probably have a similar take as the way that you know the people I respect and want to earn their respect would see me as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like, I feel like I've been on this like spiritual journey for a few years, and I feel like that has brought me closer to a sense of peace. But the standard and the desires that I have and the like how I hold myself accountable has largely just remained internal. And one of my big frustrations with people that seek external validation is that they oftentimes disempower themselves to do the things that they know they should do. And it's kind of tricky because people can take that the wrong way, but it's like, you know, higher power, whatever the case may be, like I would assume that they would want you to put your best foot forward.
Yep.
The best way to do that is to have accountability of your actions.
Mhm.
And yeah, I feel like that should never be outsourced necessarily.
I couldn't agree more. I know exactly what you're getting at, and I think one of the ways that was, I'll say, trained out of me. My mom went to Catholic school all the way until she was in high school, I believe. But man, as I get older, my mom has all these like momisms, all these sayings that she said thousands of times to me growing up, and one of them was, God helps those who help themselves.
Yeah.
And I think like the statement that you're referring to is one that I've heard and a lot of other people have heard, and it can be construed as an excuse to not be accountable for your own actions and be responsible for where you are in life. And like I certainly don't want to, at least personally, I don't want to relinquish that power or be helpless. And I think a lot of that just stems from like the way I was raised. And again, like I just think about that, like, um, good things are going to happen if you're, doing what you're supposed to do. And I just, you know,
Yeah. No, I totally agree, man. We need to be doing this conversation sitting around a campfire, man.
yeah,
That's all I
I
can say.
agree. I agree. Sitting over a campfire and, cleaning blood off a knife and eating some fresh meat.
I got a totally random tangent question, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. Are you team replaceable blade knife or fixed blade that you're sharpening with a stone?
I carry both.
I do as well.
I do. So for whitetail, I have an Outdoor Edge replaceable blade that is just amazing, man. It's it's a $40 knife, and I buy 10 replacement blades for $20, and those things last me 3-4 years before I have to buy more blades. I know a lot of guys will say they can get through like one deer per blade. I've used the same blade on 3 deer, 4 deer.
Hmm.
So I'm also really lucky though. I guess I have to, like, the deer processor was a mile from where we used to live. It's still a 10-minute drive. So all I'm doing with the deer is field dressing and, taking the deer to the processor. Um,
Hmm.
in the backcountry, if it's an elk, um, Outdoor Edge would be my replaceable blade. I don't like the super lightweight. I've messed around with like some of the 1.7 ounce replaceable blade backcountry knives. That's just way too flimsy to break down a whole elk. I like a good sturdy fixed blade, especially if you're getting up, you got to break the sternum and get up in there a little bit more. Just makes skinning a lot better and faster. So uh, I like having both.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, man. I got the Outdoor Edge, and then I got multiple fixed blades that I have in my pack if needed. But having that replaceable blade is handy, man. Like having that surgical edge at the moment's notice is
That
hard to
thing,
part.
that thing is a scalpel. I've seen a couple of guys have some mishaps with that,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
it is
I'm close to
nice.
cutting my finger off a time or two.
It is nice, man, when you're like, you're almost done and your back's starting, that low back is thumping, and you can
Hmm.
swap out the blade, get a fresh one, and yeah, it's nice.
100%, man. Well, listen, I know you got a hard stop. You got things going on today, but let's keep in touch. We'd love to go hunting with you, train with you. Keep me posted on your Oregon hunt, and I'll let you know if I kill anything with the freaking longbow this year.
Please do, man, and yeah, we'll make a trip happen, and we'll be in touch.
100%, man. Appreciate you, brother.
You got it. Thanks, Robert.